She divorced me quietly, with papers slid across a marble table like an apology she refused to say aloud. She said my presence embarrassed her, that her wealthy friends asked questions she hated answering. I wore the wrong suits, drove the wrong car, carried the wrong past. I reminded her of who she had been. I reminded her of me. I built her first business plan at our kitchen table. I paid her tuition, edited her speeches, waited outside meetings like a ghost. When success arrived, gratitude never did. She erased my name from interviews, cropped me from photos, rewrote history with a smile. The day she left, she told me to move out before her friends visited. Did she think money changed truth? Did she believe silence meant weakness? I packed one bag, nodded, and walked away without arguing. That confused her more than anger ever could. I rented a small room, took a night job, and watched her rise on glowing screens. Awards, galas, champagne laughs. She never looked back. I said nothing. I just waited. Because people who forget who carried them always trip eventually. And when they fall, they look around, searching for the one person they pushed away. Would she remember me then? Life after divorce was small, quiet, and painfully honest. I worked nights fixing accounts other people broke, sleeping days with curtains drawn. I kept my name clean while hers climbed headlines. She married status, not love, posing beside investors who never asked about her past. I watched interviews where she claimed she built everything alone. Each lie landed heavier than the last. Friends told me to speak, to expose her, to demand credit. I refused. Noise would warn her. Silence keeps people careless. Meanwhile, I noticed patterns others missed. Deals rushed. Numbers polished too brightly. Partners rotating fast. Success attracts shortcuts, and shortcuts always leave fingerprints. I saved articles, reports, screenshots, quietly archiving time. Why rush karma when patience sharpens it? One evening, a former colleague called, nervous, whispering about missing funds and forged approvals. My name came up during audits because I once handled her systems. Investigators wanted context. I provided facts, nothing more. No accusations. Just truth. They listened closely. Weeks passed. Her smile stayed fixed, but her eyes changed. Pressure does that. Did she sense the ground thinning beneath her heels? Did she wonder why doors hesitated opening? I kept waiting, steady, unseen. Because downfall never announces itself. It whispers first, testing who still listens. And I was listening. The first crack appeared quietly, buried beneath entertainment news. A delayed filing. A postponed launch. Commentators shrugged, but I recognized panic disguised as confidence. She began calling old contacts, people she once ignored. My phone stayed silent. I kept working, building something new with skills she taught me to bury. Late nights turned into momentum. I consulted anonymously, fixing collapsing startups, earning equity instead of applause. Power feels different when nobody knows your name. Meanwhile, investigators returned with deeper questions. Contracts altered. Signatures mismatched. I explained systems, timelines, responsibilities. Again, only facts. They didn't need my anger. They needed clarity. Her inner circle started leaking stories, each one contradicting the last. Friends vanished. Invitations slowed. The rich hate proximity to risk. She started drinking more, smiling less, posting louder. Validation becomes addictive when foundations weaken. One night, she sent me a message. Casual. Curious. Almost kind. She asked how I was doing. I didn't reply. What would I say? That I was fine? That I remembered everything? Silence unsettles liars because it leaves room for memory. Days later, her husband filed for separation, citing undisclosed liabilities. Markets reacted instantly. Sponsors paused. The spotlight shifted from praise to suspicion. She stood alone on red carpets, waving like muscle memory. Did she finally feel embarrassed? Did she finally remember the man she hid? I waited. Because the truth was still climbing, and gravity never forgets its job. By the time formal investigations became public, she was already exhausted. Interviews turned defensive. Statements sounded rehearsed. Every word she spoke raised another question. I was contacted officially, summoned to testify. Walking into that room felt like stepping into a past she erased. I spoke calmly, clearly, explaining how systems were designed, how safeguards were removed after I left. Faces hardened. Pens stopped moving. They understood. Outside, cameras flashed, hungry for reaction. I walked past them unnoticed, which felt right. Meanwhile, my quiet work paid off. A company I helped stabilize offered partnership. No glamour, just trust. I accepted. Stability is underrated. News broke of frozen accounts, pending lawsuits, collapsing valuations. Friends who once toasted her avoided her calls. She posted quotes about betrayal, resilience, fake loyalty. Irony is loud when people stop listening. One evening, she appeared at my door unannounced, thinner, eyes sharp with fear. She asked why I never warned her. I asked why she erased me. She had no answer. She asked for help, not love, not forgiveness, just help. I closed the door gently. Not out of revenge, but necessity. Saving someone who refuses accountability only delays their lesson. As she walked away, shoulders shaking, I felt no joy. Only release. Was this the end? No. Consequences were still unfolding, and lessons require completion. Karma doesn't rush. It finishes. Court proceedings stretched on, methodical and merciless. Evidence stacked neatly, timelines aligning like accusations that no longer needed voices. She hired the best lawyers money could still buy, but money evaporates when trust dies. Each hearing stripped another layer of confidence. Headlines shifted tone, no longer celebratory, now clinical. I focused on my work, expanding partnerships, mentoring quietly. Success without spectacle feels heavier, earned. Occasionally, reporters found my name buried in filings. They called, asking for statements. I declined. Speaking now would feel like theft. Truth was already doing its job. Her former allies testified, trading loyalty for leniency. Watching betrayal from the outside is sobering. I wondered if she remembered how easily she betrayed me first. One afternoon, she requested a mediated meeting. I agreed, curious, not hopeful. She apologized carefully, like someone reading from a script she never rehearsed. She said fear made her cruel. That wealth demanded sacrifice. I listened. Then I told her something simple. You didn't sacrifice me. You sacrificed yourself. Tears followed. Regret is loud when it finally arrives. The judge ruled months later, heavy penalties, public accountability, irreversible loss. She left the courtroom smaller, unprotected. Outside, she looked at me once, searching. I nodded, not in triumph, but closure. Power had shifted quietly, completely. Was this justice? Maybe. Or maybe justice is simply truth staying longer than lies ever can. After the verdict, silence returned, different this time. No anticipation. No waiting. Just space. She sold assets to survive, moved out of cities that remembered her name. Fame abandons faster than poverty. I watched from distance, not obsession. My life had grown roots elsewhere. Our company expanded steadily, built on transparency she once mocked. Employees trusted us. Partners stayed. Reputation compounds when earned slowly. Invitations came, panels, interviews, recognition. I accepted selectively, always crediting teams. Individual myth-making felt dangerous. Sometimes, late at night, I replayed memories, not angrily, just curiously. How close love sits to resentment. How easily gratitude rots when ego feeds. One day, a letter arrived, handwritten. She wrote without excuses this time. She thanked me for teaching her discipline, for loving her when she was unknown. She admitted she confused wealth with worth. She didn't ask for forgiveness. That mattered. I wrote back briefly, wishing her peace. Nothing more. Closure doesn't require reopening wounds. Years passed. She faded into anonymity, working quietly, rebuilding humbly. I heard she volunteered, advised small businesses, avoided spotlights. Maybe lessons stuck. Maybe not. Meanwhile, I stood where she once stood, invited into rooms of power. I wore the same suits, drove nicer cars, but remembered where I started. Would I introduce her now? The thought made me smile softly. Life doesn't reverse roles for revenge. It does it for perspective. And perspective is the most expensive thing I ever earned. We met again unexpectedly at a conference years later. Smaller event, modest crowd, practical conversations. She sat 3 rows back, unnoticed by most. When our eyes met, recognition flickered, then relief. After my talk, she approached cautiously, like someone stepping onto thin ice. We spoke like strangers who shared a language only they remembered. She congratulated me sincerely. I thanked her for coming. There was no tension left to feed on. Just understanding. She told me she finally introduced herself honestly now, without titles, without stories polished for approval. Some people stayed. Most didn't. She seemed okay with that. I realized then karma wasn't her collapse. It was her awakening. And my reward wasn't her suffering. It was my growth. Later, someone asked if she had inspired my success. I paused, then answered truthfully. Yes. Pain teaches efficiency. Loss teaches focus. Betrayal teaches boundaries. They nodded, satisfied with the soundbite, missing the weight. As the event ended, she thanked me again, quietly, and left early. Watching her go, I felt complete. No anger. No pride. Just acceptance. The world loves dramatic revenge, explosive confrontations. But real karma is quieter. It rearranges lives until lessons fit. I didn't need to humiliate her publicly. Life did something better. It showed us both who we were without illusions. Was that forgiveness? Maybe. Or maybe it was simply maturity arriving on time. Either way, the chapter closed without applause. And that felt right. People still ask why I never exposed her when I could have. They expect a clever answer, a heroic line. The truth is simpler. I trusted time more than noise. Lies sprint. Truth walks. I didn't wait for her downfall out of spite. I waited because rushing justice often poisons it. Watching her lose everything taught me something unexpected. Power without integrity is fragile. Love without respect is temporary. And success that requires erasing others will eventually erase you. My life today is full, not flashy. I'm respected, not feared. I introduce myself honestly, proud of where I came from. When I enter rooms of wealth now, I don't shrink or perform. I belong because I built myself twice. Once with her. Once without her. She's doing better too, in her own quiet way. That matters. Karma isn't about destruction. It's about balance. The scales don't crash. They settle. If there's a lesson here, it's this. Never be ashamed of the person who believed in you before you were impressive. Never trade gratitude for applause. And never underestimate silence paired with patience. I said nothing. I waited. Not because I was weak. But because I knew exactly how strong truth becomes when given time. Downfalls end stories. Lessons begin lives. And that is the ending worth waiting for.